Hey, buenos dias, ¿qué pasó, you guys? Welcome back, John's Moto Garage. As you can see, we got the beautiful Yamaha Stryker here in front of us, and we're gonna jump on, take this bike for a spin. I've had this bike on the channel a few times. I think this is the third one that I've had on the channel, and every time I get one of these, it surprises me. And so I really think there's more than meets the eye with this bike. I'll talk a little bit about my thoughts and impressions on it. How do I think it compares to other bikes like the Fury, like the Yamaha Raider? Is it like a big muscle performance cruiser, or is it just a wannabe? What are the things I like and dislike? We'll hit all those points on the bike. Before we jump into it, let's go over the key specs though. Alright, so some of the key specs: dry weight 635 pounds, wheelbase 69.6 inches, seat height 26.4, so sits pretty low. Fuel economy 37 miles per gallon, 0 to 60 in 4.3. Quarter mile 13.24 seconds at 98.11 miles per hour. Top speed 110. I bet we can break that. Horsepower 67.2 at 5,480 RPMs. Torque 73.8 foot-pounds at 3,840 RPMs. You know, it's crazy because when it comes to motorcycles, you're looking at like, you know, all these big muscle performance cruisers. The difference 0 to 60 in quarter mile with a lot of these bikes, and this is just kind of how racing and speed goes, but the distance is marginal. It's always just, you know, fractions of a second or 1 or 2 seconds. The point I'm making is, whether you're on a bike like this or the ultimate, you know, VTX 1800 or Triumph Rocket 3, to your lay person who goes from a car to a motorcycle, pretty much all of these bikes are going to feel fast. All right, we'll start with our quick walk around. As you can see, this is like your chopper style. It's got a raked out look front end to it, 21-inch front wheel, 210 series rear tire, belt drive, of course, kind of forward controls, 6-speed. Really cool motorcycle. Little brother to the Yamaha Raider. You can see it's got a pretty wide rear tire, nice wide looking rear fender, kind of a nice elongated tank there as well. So one of the first things you notice jumping on this bike is it sits really low to the ground, and I like that a lot. You got a lot of newer riders asking about this bike as a newer, you know, as a first bike, because they like the style and maybe they like the Raider, but you know, they're kind of scared of that. And this one I think would be much more ideal for a new rider. So much so I'm actually going to try and get Jackie, my wife, to jump on and take it for a spin, because I really think it's going to be a more feasible option. One of the first things you'll notice about this bike is that the handling, for such a long wheelbase and for the raked out front end, it's actually got really good handling. Typically choppers with their really raked out front end are super horrible when it comes to handling and trying to, you know, swing those through the curves, and this bike doesn't feel like that. It feels super stable and, you know, relatively nimble as well. And the lean angle is actually, doesn't feel terrible. I don't know what it is off the top of my head, but I can scrape a peg, but it doesn't feel like you're just gonna catch metal just for the heck of it. But we'll try. Yeah, I guess you can scrape okay. Now, one thing I always mention is between first and second gear, the gearing is just terrible for neighborhoods. Second gear is just a little too fast for these corners. You see it starts to lug a little bit. And first gear, you're just going a little bit too, or I'm sorry, second gear is a little too slow and first gear is a little too fast. And I know there's a fix, and you know, changing up the gearing a little bit, but I've never really found the need for that. The bike, in addition to feeling, you know, pretty good with the handling, nice and comfortable, it actually, even not being like a gnarly torque monster or having a ton of horsepower, it actually feels like a pretty quick bike. I mean, yeah, it's no like straight up muscle bike. I wouldn't really typically class it together with your other bikes like the Raider, M109R, VTX 1800, or, you know, the V-Rod, for example. However, it's a quick bike. Like I was saying, you know, 0 to 60 in, what was a 0 to 60? Like 4 point some seconds, obviously with a rider who knows what they're doing. Quarter mile in just under 14 seconds, you know, it'll get up there and go. How does it stack up to your Harley Davidson? Throw on some exhaust and you're gonna get like a look and sound of it. The engine covers have a lot of plastic, so in that regard it feels kind of cheap. The one thing that's different between this and like your Honda Fury though is they do actually have aluminum or metal tins, you know, the fenders front and back, so at least in that regard it's kind of nice. We're gonna head to the freeway, do a quick freeway jaunt. I always like to see how these handle at higher speeds. I've always been a big fan of this 1300cc Yamaha engine. The first bike I ever had that had this engine was their V-Star 1300, and I honestly think that Yamaha would have done a lot better with their cruisers if they had stuck with the traditional style cruiser like their Roadstar and their V-Star 1100s. If they had stuck with that style bike but put this 1300cc engine in it. Honestly, if I had a little windshield just to deflect some of the wind, this thing would do great at highway speeds. It's got the power, and with the wheelbase it feels super stable. And the way it's set up with the kind of chopper feel and the forward controls, the ergonomics are just right. You know, the bars kind of come back to you. You have that, you know, you feel like you're kind of sitting, not quite in a lazy boy, but it is a comfortable riding position even with the forward controls. Yeah, it's a quick little bike, man. It's fun. Alright, so what are the things I like about the bike? It's comfortable, it's a unique look, it's got that kind of custom chopper look to it. Despite just being a cruiser, it's a lot of fun still to ride. It's not too much power where it's scared to open it up, but it's enough to still put a grin on your face. Very smooth power as well. This bike is great for new riders and experienced riders alike. And price point, it's a bargain motorcycle. You're not paying a ton of money for these bikes. Things that I dislike about the motorcycle, it does still kind of have that, I don't know, almost kind of cheap feel to it. The fit and finish, while they do have like the metal tins, you got a lot of plastic covers on it. You know, I feel like this stuff is kind of tacky. I'm actually getting used to bikes that have a little bit more in terms of like the technology, like a, you know, gear indicator and things like that. But that's really not a huge complaint. That's very petty. The first to second gearing at slower speeds is like a little bit annoying, but I'm sure you get real used to that real fast, just the longer you have it. There aren't like a ton of complaints. It's all going to be very nitpicky as far as that goes. All in all, it is really it's a nice motorcycle, man. They look cool, they look unique. Not everybody has them, and they're fun to ride for the cruisers. This bike has the advantage, you know, over your Yamaha Raider and some of your really big muscle cruisers, because it doesn't scare people away. Biggest competitor for this, I would say, would be your Honda Fury. I always say the Fury is like your quintessential chopper that you can get from the factory. It looks way more chopper. It's streamlined. You don't have the extra kind of chrome plastic looking pieces. Somebody out there doing donuts in the dirt? Dude, I'm the only one who does donuts in the dirt around here. You know, it's a comfortable machine. You get it at a bargain price. A lot to like about it. There really is a lot to like about this motorcycle. So yeah, those are things I like and dislike about it. To any new rider out there, if you're considering this bike, this is one where I would actually say, yeah, I don't think it would be out of line as a beginner to buy something like this, and I think you'd be able to get comfortable on it. Looks wise, it may look a little bit overwhelming and intimidating, but I really do think that if you take it easy, it would definitely be doable. and you're gonna have plenty to grow into. I mean, this is a really, I love this 1300 liquid cooled Yamaha engine. I really do.